Welcome to Good Morning Football. We're presented by Audi, live in New York City on this Wednesday, April 4th. And they're getting busy, a couple 100 miles north in Foxborough. I'm Kay Adams. This is Nate Burles and Peter Schrager and Kyle Bryant. We're going to get right to it because we have a huge trade to talk about. It's time for the lead block.
Lead block!
LA Rams fans probably didn't sleep last night. They're too excited about the seasons. They made another huge trade yesterday, acquiring receiver Brandin Cooks from the Pats and a fourth-round pick in this month's draft in exchange for the 23rd overall pick and a sixth-rounder. Peter, how did this go down?
Let's go through the timeline, Kay, and I'll do this as quickly and as concisely as I can, but to give you the full picture of how this trade went down. So the Rams really wanted to keep Sammy Watkins at the end of this past season. They also had LaMarcus Joyner. They had to make a decision. Do we want to franchise a safety or franchise a wide receiver? They said, we can sign Sammy Watkins once he's set free. They let Sammy Watkins out the door. He signs a $16 million a year deal with the Chiefs. Rams looked at each other. The front office said, this guy was fourth in our team on receptions. We can't re-sign him. But there were people inside that building saying, we're offense. Like, we're number one on offense. We're letting a good receiver, our number one guy, leave. He goes. The Patriots, meanwhile, are looking at that also, and they're thinking in their building, Sammy Watkins just got $16 million a year. Brandin Cooks' deal is up next year. What are we going to have to pay Brandin Cooks? Suddenly, we start hearing that the Rams at the owners' meetings might be talking to the Giants about saying, how do we replace Sammy Watkins in our offense? Well, Odell Beckham would be nice. Wait a second. The Rams are looking for a wide receiver? The Patriots might be willing to get rid of a wide receiver? Takes us to Friday, Good Friday, the day before Easter. The University of Georgia. We go to Athens, Georgia, where Bill Belichick and Sean McVay were both invited as guests of Kirby Smart, the head coach of Georgia, to speak at a coach's clinic. So they're talking ball. They're talking offense, they're talking defense. Maybe the name Brandin Cooks came up? Yeah, the name Brandin Cooks came up. Conversation started building over the weekend. Here we go to Monday. Here we go to Tuesday. Deal is done, all right? Rams, they go and get Brandin Cooks. McVay gets his number one receiver that he wanted, someone that, for a lot of people around the league, is a more dynamic player than Sammy Watkins ever was. And Belichick and the Patriots do not have to pay Brandin Cooks and instead get a first-round pick. They now have the 23rd and the 31st. They also have two second-round picks. Very interesting trade that worked for both teams. I will say this on the Brandin Cooks to the Rams deal that not a lot of people are mentioning. Brandin Cooks is represented by the Tolmers. That's an agency. It's Bruce and Ryan and Chase Callahan. Okay. Their number one client right now is Jared Goff. Brandin Cooks last offseason, who did he work with the entire offseason? Jared Goff.
Okay.
That's it. They're all represented by the same agency. Cooper Kupp is represented. They're all, Brandin Cooks lives out there in Orange County.
Yeah.
It works. LA guy. It makes a lot of sense, but it also puts the Rams in another bind because we'll get into it.
Yeah.
They're all in, and they're adding another player on a one-year contract. Brandin Cooks has just 1 year left, like so many other Rams guys that they've added this offseason.
They were all in before this contract. This is almost like, just in case you weren't sure that we were all in, let's do this deal too. So now they have Sue and Talib and Peters and Brandin Cooks on offense after they had the number one offense in the league last year to be with Todd Gurley. This is a Super Bowl or bust team, in my opinion, now. This is like, hey, Cousins and Zimmer, hold my beer. We are now the Super Bowl or bust team because their window is like this big to get this done.
It's true. And this is insane. This is so fun to me. McVay is a maniac. He is now over Cirque du Soleil, right? That's what he's got going on. I mean, Peter, who are they going to sign next? Is it Calvin Johnson or Giancarlo Stanton, right? Now introducing T'Challa, the new Ram. They're getting everybody. And I feel like, Kate, you're they're like, let's have a party now, all right? I don't know if we can afford all this stuff long term. These things may be repossessed. This tiki bar, this Mai Tai backpack, this bounce house, they may be come and taken from us. But I'll be damned if we don't have the best party ever. I feel like McVay got Brandin Cooks and he did the like in the ground because he wants to have a party down Ventura Boulevard, a parade next February. I've never seen a team more all in than this one right now. Now.
You lived in LA. Is this not the most LA thing ever?
100%. Pay for things you can't afford? 100%. Be about now. Don't worry about the future. Be a front runner. Be glamorous. Get shiny things. It is LA to the core, and that's why I love it. McVay. McLA.
They paid a first-round pick for a guy who is not going to be the center of their offense. He's going to be a complement, a guy that can take the top off a defense, stretch the field. Was it too much? How does he play into this offense when you think Gurley's the focal point?
He is the focal point. Listen, you surround Gurley with the right pieces. You surround Goff with the right pieces. It's the right move for both parties. You know, all in means win now. It's the same thing. 2 words, very clear. You know, I walked in with this Randy Moss shirt because we have a little toe drag swag, so I wanted to rock my fro drag swag shirt. Shout out to Mitchell and Ness. But Peter, of course, his beautiful mind, he starts working. As we walk in, Kyle says, "What's the Randy Moss shirt for?" I'm like, "Oh, toe drag swag is coming." Peter says, "Well, it's fitting because you look at Brandin Cooks. They acquired him through a trade, and now they're trading him away. How about Randy Moss? They acquired him through a trade, and they were trading him away. And everybody said, how could you trade away Randy Moss after he puts up 22, 23 touchdowns in your offense? Same thing with Brandin Cooks. He puts up over 1,000 yards, 60-plus catches, and you're saying to yourself, how could you trade away your number 1 wide receiver? The Rams, they win because they get a guy that they want that can help them win now. And the Patriots, they always win. This one thing I said at 5 o'clock this morning, we were sitting at production meeting, I will never, ever knock the Patriots for a move they make because I've tried that too many times, and it's burned me in the end because they are geniuses at what they do. They get rid of guys at the right time, regardless if we think that they should sit in their system.
I mean, Bill, the Patriots, they got more than they paid for this. And then they got an AFC Championship win as well out of this guy. They got 1,000 yards out of a kid that then took the place of Julian Edelman, who went down, who's their number 1 receiver, in my opinion, and then also won an AFC Championship game. And I think that they look at this and they think, you know, in my opinion, Brandin Cooks was disposable. I think obviously everybody's disposable, but this is a guy who, in my opinion, didn't really catch a rhythm with Tom Brady. He had the 4th most drops of any receiver in the league last year with 9. Edelman's coming back. They are going to be okay. Because people are freaking out about Brandin Cooks. I don't think they should.
But here's the thing. People were also freaking out when every time they looked up, Brandin Cooks was catching a big play. Toe drag swag in the back.
The highlight reel is nice.
Think about the big moments that they had. Think about their journey throughout the season. How many of those games would they have lost if Brandin Cooks didn't step up and make a big play? So that's what they're missing. It's not necessarily about the numbers because you can call Julian Edelman number 1 receiver. His numbers don't impress you on a yearly basis. But what happens is
catches,
they
his
step
last
up.
healthy year is impressive to me.
But they step up in big moments in big times. And Julian Edelman being injured, yeah, I can respect. Julian's my guy. That's one of my closest friends. But you can't call him a number 1 if he hasn't even stepped on the field yet. They just got rid of their number 1. Now it's up to the wide receivers, tight end play, and Tom Brady, of course, to try to complement.
I'm not trying to argue with the wide receiver, but there's no way that Julian Edelman isn't the wide receiver 1 on that team. Brandin Cooks was not the number 1 wide receiver.
Brandin Cooks was brought there to be a number 1.
If both of them, no way.
Brandin Cooks never played with Edelman, right? We don't even know.
If Edelman's out there, he's the number 1. That is his, you know, you could say Gronk's the number 1, but he's obviously a tight end.
Yeah, you got to look at the way that these guys are made up as wide receivers. Julian Edelman, he dominates the middle of the field. Zone coverage, anything where the chaos is, Julian Edelman is one of the best receivers of all time. But Brandin Cooks can stretch the field. Brandin Cooks is faster. Brandin Cooks has the ability to play from sideline to sideline and take the top off. Julian Edelman's not going to run a deep route and scare safety.
But you know who can? Chris Hogan. Chris Hogan is still there. He last year led the league in yards per catch. He can do it. Let's not forget Malcolm Mitchell, who started really great, had an injury. He's still there. Wide receiver's not what I'm worried about, Peter, with the Patriots, and now they have all these draft picks. I'm worried about a left tackle. I'm worried about a running back. Do I think Jeremy Hill can handle the load in the backfield? I don't know. I'm worried about some pass rush help. The Patriots now have picks to make those moves.
You lose Deion Lewis. You lose Nate Solder, the franchise left tackle. You lose Brandin Cooks. The list goes on. I mean, and Evan Tola's gone. These are notable players. These are legends in Patriots lore, minus Brandin Cooks. But now what do they have? They now have the 23rd pick, right? They have the 31st pick. The Jimmy Garoppolo trade netted them the 43rd pick. They have the 63rd pick. They now have 4 draft picks in the top 65, something that they very rarely have. And to me, that's draft capital. So you make this trade. Are you going to sit back and just take the best player available at 23rd? Maybe.
They have enough positions that they need to do that.
Or do they have a plan? Do they have a plan? Is there a guy, whether it be a Calvin Ridley, you know that there's a Saban-Belichick connection, and whether it be a Saquon Barkley, if they want to have a running back. There's a lot of talent on this draft that maybe isn't a quarterback
to make
up
a
top.
power move.
If they wanted to package things together and make a power move. I'll also say this. It's been a wild offseason. They have all these draft picks. Maybe there's a veteran they think they can get. And everyone's going to say Odell Beckham. Maybe it's not Odell Beckham. Maybe it's somebody else.
Right.
Belichick is a master of collecting picks and utilizing them to their maximum ability. And whether that is trading up to get someone, sitting pat, or getting a veteran, I don't think the Patriots are done.
Can I give you a dream scenario and nightmare scenario?
Yeah.
Dream scenario, they do what you're talking about. They have a player they love. and the player is Bradley Chubb. And they go up, and this is the guy that Belichick said, we'll never get you. We're up at 31. Wink, wink. On camera, if he did that, would bring the house down. Nightmare scenario, what I would hate if they did, is if they, because I've seen chatter about this, they take all those picks and they move way up and get the Brady heir apparent. I would absolutely, if they did something crazy.
They'd have to move into the Giants.
Maybe they would. Maybe they'd have to, they can go to 4, they go to 3, they go anywhere like that. Nightmare scenario. I hate a title contender getting a player that is not going to help them that year. I don't think they'll do it. I mean, but then, okay, do they get Lamar Jackson if he comes down to them? Are they drafting a quarterback on those picks? That I'm all right with, but I would hate to see them move way up.
If he falls to them in the second round, then maybe they do take a Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, you can take him at 23, at 31.
Sit behind Tom Brady.
43.
You don't think they're done?
I don't, and I'm not saying that from being told, hey, look, we're not. The Patriots did not make this move unless they have a master plan. They didn't do this to get a backup defensive tackle or an offensive guard.
Belichick has never in his career had 2 firsts and 2 seconds. It's never happened because the Patriots haven't had it since I think 1998. The idea of them standing pat, just being like, we got this player, this player, this player, is implausible.
I don't see it.
It might be the best strategy is to do nothing though. They already made the bold move.
They don't trade up often, but they do make trades.
And what do we say? There's gold and then them their heels. That's gold in your hand when you have those picks. And you can talk about OBJ not really fitting. A nightmare situation is that the Giants let go of OBJ and he goes and puts up 20-plus touchdowns with the Patriots.
You've seen it before?
Yeah, we've seen it before.
But we saw Randy Moss where they spent a 4th-round pick to trade for Randy. This was not 2 firsts or something crazy like that. I can't believe the OBJ thing's going to happen. It's sexy as all get out, but I don't see it happening.
I don't think it's happening either. They won a Super Bowl, or they lost a Super Bowl, but they didn't have their number 1 wide receiver, and they didn't have Brandin Cooks in that game. They have a lot of needs, though, so I'm curious if they would trade up. I would hope left tackle. Let's McGlinchey out of Notre Dame will be there maybe around the 23rd pick. You get him. There's a lot of needs that they need to take care of. Otherwise, does this feel like a total renovation for the Patriots?
I think about
Are they
Brady.
redecorating in a way that we haven't seen in a while?
Maybe. But listen, I know Brady understands what time it is with that team and players leave. You wake up this morning and you have your kale smoothie or whatever the hell it is, and you say, all right, they've gotten rid of our best cover corner, my left tackle, my blindside guy, Amendola's gone, Brandin Cooks is gone, Deion Lewis is gone. I know what time it is. I've been here for 50 years. But come on now. I'm going to be 41 years old. What are you going to do for me? And I got to hear whispers about Gronk BS, too?
That's not how it is. Brady's walking in the house. He's saying, oh, we moved the furniture around again. They're not
Where's the new
rebuilding
furniture?
They're not rebuilding the house. See, he sits down. He says,
the furniture's
okay,
gone. They has not moved around.
This is a new couch. This is going to fit well.
You can have it. It's on the curb. It's in the draft.
What is this about, though? Is it about Tom Brady, or is it about the well-being for the future of the Patriots?
It's about winning the Super Bowl in 2018.
Is it about Josh McDaniels?
Yes, it is every year for them.
I think, to me, they've always been a step ahead of everyone else in the league, thinking long-term.
Okay, but you got to have the next step first. What are they going to do this fall? I get the great 2020 is awesome. They got to win a Super Bowl this year.
I don't think you can build a team based on what Tom Brady being 41 years old. We need to win now. I think you need to consider the entire long-term future of the team. And yes, you do get him a piece.
Well, what are we talking about? The Patriots, they will win now. The Patriots will be in the postseason. There's no way. I don't care how many moves they make. We both know that they are going to be contenders for the Super Bowl.
Contenders, I don't care about contenders. I want them to win it. That's the only difference for them. I want to make sure they got enough horses in the stable to win it this year.
They got more for Brandin Cooks than they got for Garoppolo, which is crazy to think about. That's just how the trade market works.
They're the best in the business at that.
Yeah, they might want that one back.
More on Brandin Cooks and the trade and the ripple effect, of course. And I mean, fantasy football with the Rams, I don't think I like anybody.
It's tough.
Who's going to get the ball more than 8 times?
That's up to McVay. That's why you pay him the big bucks.
We'll continue our Tournament of Champions as well. It's angry runs taking on Toad.